Hi, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome back to Preparedness for the Average Family. My name is Josh. Tonight's video is going to be continuing our series in broad overview videos on what my family and I prioritize for us as the fundamentals of preparedness. Tonight's video is going to be covering self-defense and security. Now, with the atmosphere we live in the world today, with everything going on in the world, not just in our country here where I live in the United States, but everywhere else in the world, this is becoming more and more important to understand how you can secure your home, how you can defend yourself. And the first way you can learn to defend yourself is by avoiding those situations, getting yourself out of the situations that you shouldn't be in and things like that. Now, if you end up in a situation, the first line of defense, is always going to be learning how to fight, some basic fighting skills and self-defense skills. I highly recommend you get trained in certain martial arts or get some training in some self-defense, mixed martial arts, things like that. You really need to have a good basis, at least. You don't have to be a UFC fighter, but you just have to learn the basics to be able to defend yourself, your family, and your loved ones. And with that being said, no matter where you live, things like this can happen. Muggings, civil unrest, no matter what it is. I live in a pretty decent neighborhood where I live here in the Central Texas Hill Country. And just a few months ago on my cameras, I caught two guys getting into my car. I had accidentally left it unlocked. Luckily, there was nothing in there. And they were armed with an AR-15. And it's just absolutely crazy that my children were less than 30 feet away from somebody in our driveway that was armed. And I got told by neighbors, maybe they probably wouldn't have used it, or maybe it was an airsoft rifle or this or that. At the end of the day, it does not matter. As a father and as people, we want to defend ourselves. And if you come with that intent, even if it's you don't intend to use it, you're already showing intent by having that and coming to somebody's house, somebody's property. So you need to be able to defend yourself. How I recommend you do that. One, perimeter security. Perimeter security of your home. Are you locking your doors, using your codes to your locks? Are you securing access ways, gates? If you live on a property, securing your gate. Does it have a gate? Are you gating off your fence and locking your fence so you need to have a key to get through your fence? Things like that are things that I do here. I have 4 gates on my property, and I have all of them locked, keyed, secured. I also have, and I highly recommend this, is cameras. Use doorbell cameras. I use solar powered cameras across my property here that I never have to touch, direct to my phone, and boom. I can talk through them. They have alarms. They have floodlights, infrared. So those are things that you can do to be proactive in defending you and your family and your home. There's various other things that you could do, hardening your position, special locks, things like that. But these are just basics to get your mind thinking about what can I do to secure my position. Another thing that my family and I use is our animals. We have a dog, and our dog is one of the best animals you could have for a family. Great with the kids, but will bark out the yin-yang when something she doesn't know comes near this house. That can be an asset. So another thing I wanted to mention is if you have dogs, get them some training. They can be very useful in a situation where you're trying to be aware of what's going on outside your home. And if you train them properly enough and you have the right kind of dog, they can be used as a matter of defense as well. Now, when it comes to actual self-defense, people always end up asking about firearms, right? So I first and foremost want to start with, training when it comes to firearms, just like I said in the medical video. You need to have training. Buying a firearm and getting licensed or whatever the requirements are in your state does not mean you are competent and capable of using it in a situation. Training will help prepare you for that situation the best you possibly can. So get training, go to classes, not just your license to carry class or something like that. Get actual on the range training where you're shooting, you're moving, and you're communicating with others. and you can build your way up, especially for those who have never been in firearms. And that's who this video is really directed to. Now, there's always 3 types of firearms that I recommend to new firearms owners. 3 types. And I say types because I'm not going to try and get into brands. I will mention the brands of what I have here, but I'm going to be mentioning types of firearms because it is a broad spectrum of brands out there. So the importance, again, is the type. Starting off, I think it's important that you have some means of personal immediate defense of your area. I always recommend a striker-fired pistol. I use 9mm. It's readily available everywhere. So a striker-fired 9mm pistol, and all of these have been safety checked. The magazines are out of them. This is something that I carry on my belt at the range or in the winter when I can conceal carry a full-size gun. But some kind of striker-fired 9mm pistol, whether it be a Glock, a Canic, Smith & Wesson, something striker-fired that's going to have easily to find parts and ammunition. I do recommend tack lights on certain firearms, depending on whether you're concealed carrying or not. It may be up to you, but that is also something to consider as I go through these firearms. The next firearm I recommend, and it's not just a point and shoot. I'm tired of people saying this is just a point and shoot. Oh yeah, it's easy to use. You still need training with a shotgun. Don't buy the hype. You need training with a shotgun. Right here, we have a Remington 870 that's been modified, has a side saddle, and this is a good security home defense shotgun. And with these, you can get them in different lengths, shorter, smaller models. So just pick something that's going to suit you and your loved ones that are going to be using it. The last, and certainly not least, weapon that I recommend, firearm that I recommend, is going to be an AR-15. An AR-15 platform is tried and true. I use these in the military, known as the M4 at the time. This is an AR-15, a civilian version of that, and you can't go wrong. I have several of these, and I put a tack light, iron sights, and an optic, and that's really it. Now with this, training, as with all of these firearms, is paramount. And really, if you want to get precise and be accurate and know you're not going to hurt others. So again, that is the 3rd recommendation that I make about your first 3 firearms. A pistol, striker fired, preferably 9mm, my preference. 12 gauge shotgun, and then a AR-15. After that, you can build off of whatever you want, but you cover 3 main categories that I really think are important. Now, when it comes to having firearms, you also got to consider, other than training and buying them, is buying ammunition. So I buy ammunition. I store about 1,000 rounds of 9mm per one of these, and about 500 to 600 rounds of 5.56 per case. So with that, you just buy ammo cans, dump the ammo in there, throw some decahissant packets in there, and you're pretty much good to go. And with ammunition, have at least 1,000 rounds per weapon system. So if you have 2 AR-15s, that would be 2,000 rounds. So per weapon system that you have. For pistols, try at least to have 500 rounds per weapon system. So if you have 2 9mm, 1,000 rounds of 9mm. With the shotgun, you don't need as much, but it's super cheap and you can just bulk buy. So there's no reason not to stock up on shotgun as well. Moving on from firearms, we're going to talk about self-defense kit. If you do end up getting into firearms or you're already into firearms, I highly recommend at least getting some kind of body armor for your family once you can get up to that point. I have body armor for me and my family. This right here is an example of my kit. I've got danglers, and you can make it whatever. Shooter's preference, right? And then train with it. But this is an example of my kit right here. And then I also have other style kits for my wife. This is an example of a ballistic helmet with ear protection, things for night vision. So this works really well in conjunction with my plate carrier. So I have a full kit, and then every member of my family will have one of these eventually. I'm working through that right now. This is my wife's. And with these kits, you want to get good, reliable plates, right? Buy from a reputable source, source your own. There's different kinds out there. Do your own research. There's steel, there's ceramic, there's polyethylene, and mixes thereof. Do your research, get good plates, buy from reputable people. Now, with that being said, I have a battle belt that I had shown in the medical video where I have my IFAK. It's basically a setup with a couple magazines. You have a dump pouch, my tourniquets, a couple of utility pouches, and just my Safariland holster for my pistol. It works really well. It's simple. You don't want to have too much on you. You just want to have enough that's your first line gear. And by what I mean first line, this is what's going to be on me all the time if I'm in a situation like that, or if I'm on the range. My belt is always on me, so I have the immediates. My kit would be my plate carrier, would be my second line gear. That's going on if I need to. It's going to have more magazines. It's going to have another tourniquet. It's going to have a utility pouch on there with all my stuff that I need. And then that helmet would also be second line gear. It goes on when my kit goes on, when my plate carrier goes on. So this is just kind of how I've done firearms, self-defense, security of my house and my family. Now, I'm not going to talk about everything. There are some things you just don't want to talk about when it comes to security and how you have things set up at your house. I would highly recommend y'all follow that as well. Don't talk too much about it. But these are just kind of areas that we have done at our house to secure our house and our perimeter, and it's worked really well on top of a couple of other things. Now, in closing, this can seem like a lot. This took years to build. I have a gun case full of firearms. I have ammunition stored. I have all these things. It takes time. And for the average family nowadays, and again, in our atmosphere and in our economy, it's going to be hard. So I'll try my best to make recommendations as I make more specific videos on each of these types of firearms and my go a deep dive on my self-defense equipment, my plate carriers and my battle belt, my helmet. When I do that, I'll make recommendations at that point. But just do your research and shop, look for deals. You don't have to go Gucci all the way and buy expensive gear. You can get decent gear at a good price. I would say just don't go cheap. And by cheap, I mean cheap quality. It only costs like $50 for something that you should be spending $100 to $150 on. That's a good price. So think smartly, just like with your medical gear. And just remember, as always, preparedness is a family matter. Thanks again for watching and listening to me ramble in my garage. Have a blessed night.